A triangular shaped bound buttonhole is really quite easy to make. Of course, they're very decorative. It's something that you would want when you want to accent the front of a garment. And as I said, they're really quite easy to make. They look very intimidating, and we've all had our experiences with bound buttonholes where we thought we would just never get it and wanted to throw it all in the garbage can. But this one is really, like I said, it looks intimidating, but it really is quite easy to do. So let me show you the back of the buttonhole first. So you see there's quite a bit going on. This is a piece of cotton organza that I have on the back. This is what I like to use on the back of my buttonholes, especially for a decorative buttonhole like this. I like the fact that it's lightweight, it's a natural fiber, just really works well. I've cut it larger here than I would if I were actually doing a garment, only because just for the sake of demonstration. And then you see the lips of the triangular opening here. We'll get to that a little bit more as we move along with our buttonhole. So now I do have a little something here where I didn't quite get it right. If you see in the corner, you can see a little bit of the corner. Now, in my defense, I did use a contrasting fabric on the back side. So had I used a sheer piece of organza or a matching piece of organza, it wouldn't have shown as much, but because I did use a contrasting, it really does show. So what happened here is I didn't quite clip to the corner. That's what is wrong. So when you do something, any bound buttonhole, when you make it, you want to make sure that you have a nice sharp pair of scissors so that you can clip right to the corner. Most of us are a little bit afraid. We don't want to clip through our stitching, and so we err on the side of being a little bit too short, but it really is imperative that you clip right to the corner. Of course, not through the thread, but right to the corner. So let's get to actually how to actually put this all together. So the first thing would be in preparing our jacket. Now, of course, having a full jacket here would be a little bit difficult to show, so it's easier to show you on a sample. You can see all of my hand basting that I've done. I like hand basting stitches better than machine basted stitches. Two reasons. First of all, they're a lot easier to get out once the buttonholes are made, and also with a machine it could actually pull the fabric just a little bit, just depending on the tension, so you're less likely to have that issue if you do the hand basting. So do the hand basting. So this would be my seam line here, the actual center front, or the center front seam, and then where I've planned to put my buttonholes. And you can see that I have the width of the buttonhole here, and then the actual center of the buttonhole. And notice too that it goes quite a bit away from the center of the, or from the opening, or the width of the buttonhole, and that is so we can see our stitches. So now let me show you the organza. So here I have the organza, and it really makes it easy to match because I have mimicked the basting lines on my organza, so I can just match that up perfectly. And by the way, this would be the front side of my garment, the top side of the top of the fabric. So I have it here, but of course now what's missing is the triangular shape. So I've got that in. I know that's going to match up. And then I would come back and add my triangular shape, and you can see that those lines are basted as well. Now you might wonder how wide this should be. You're the designer, you get to decide. Just don't make it too narrow, because of course then you start getting a little bit more toward a, then it's going to look like an odd, maybe you made a mistake and really meant to have a rectangular bound buttonhole and it's just off. So I have marked this as a 1/2 inch. There's a 1/2 inch from the center of my buttonhole to the edge of the triangle. So it could even be a 1/4 inch. I wouldn't go any less than a 1/4 though. And if you're having a great big button, something that you really want, you know, this great big accent on your jacket, I mean, it could be an inch from the center of the button over or more. So like I said, you're the designer, you're deciding where you're going to put this and how you're going to use it. So but just don't go any less than a 1/4 inch from the center of the buttonhole. Okay, so the next thing that we would do then is with our, I shouldn't have moved it, sorry about that. Okay, so once we've got that in place and it's all matched up, of course, we want to secure it. So just pin it in place. Now the next thing that we'll do is take it to our machine. So I have a small little sample here that I actually sewed in the rectangular shape. And so now you're probably wondering, okay, now that we have that sewn in, what now? How do I turn it? How do I clip it? All right, so we want to clip, and remember from my example where I didn't clip quite to the point, we want to clip to these points. So what I always do is I take it, put a small clip there, clip right to the point, now notice I'm not clipping all the way to the end of this triangle. I'm going from here, I'm going to clip into the corner, turn it, clip to the other corner, check it, looks pretty good. Okay, maybe do just a smidge more. In that corner. And then literally just push it through to the other side. Of course, it needs to be pressed, but you can see that we have our triangular shape. So at this point, it's just an opening. It's not actually a buttonhole. It's just an opening. Now, this is something that you could do, say if you around a neckline or, oh, I don't know, anywhere that you'd like a decorative opening. You could do this other places on your garment and then forget about the buttonhole part of it. So again, I've just turned it and I've got, you can see my little lips here on the other side. So now this one, I've pressed it. Looks very nice. All done. So now, how do we turn this into a button? Excuse me, a buttonhole. Excuse me. So our next step is we want to take 2 pieces of our fabric. You can see I have 2 pieces of fabric here. Now this is where I actually use the basting stitch on my machine, and I run a basting stitch right down the middle to baste these 2 pieces together because these are going to form the lips of the buttonhole. So you can see there's 2 different pieces. So then I would press them, and I have one done already, so it's all pressed. So what's nice is, oh, and by the way, take note that I have not taken out any of my basting stitches. I don't want to take out my basting stitches until I'm I'm at the end. And the basting stitches help me to match this up perfectly so that the center opening is right in the center of my triangular shape. So just holding that in place, you want to come back, flip back the fabric, pin it in place, pin it in place, check it, and then on this side we'll check and we'll also place another pin because we are going to stitch on all three sides of the triangle shape. So we'll go back to the one that I actually did. So let's turn it over. So here's this, and there are my lips. So you would stitch from, you don't want to stitch all the way around. You're going to stitch one side. Make sure you stitch exactly in that line so that you have a nice crisp finish on the other side. So you'll stitch right in the line here. You'll backstitch a little here, backstitch a little here, hold it in place. So once that's finished, then you'll come to the other side, and then you'll stitch, backstitch a little, stitch down, backstitch a little. Of course, this would be pinned in place. And then the third side of it, we'd come and stitch across here, backstitch at either end, steam it, you're done. And then you're ready to start the next one. So I hope that helps. I had a few people ask me if I would do a little video on doing this. So like I said, I hope it helps. I really don't see that you can go wrong. Just take your time, make sure you do your basting, and have a lot of fun. And of course, don't make your first one on your garment. Make your first one on a sample piece, or maybe the first 2 or 3 on a sample piece, just to make sure you've got it. So again, it's easy. I wish you lots and lots of luck. They're a lot of fun to make. Enjoy!